Okay, so this webinar, the objective of this workshop is to inspire coaches or to inspire you towards your ongoing and never-ending development of coaching skills in alignment with the new competency of the coaching mindset. The competency will be explored in depth with attention paid to developing reflexive practice to enhance your own coaching and how to mentally and emotionally prepare for the session, figuring out ways to develop and maintain the ability to regulate your emotions. Our speaker today is Dorota Karas. Dorota is a PCC accredited coach and on her way to become soon an MCC accredited coach from the ICF. She's a leadership coach and also an organizational psychologist at Aramco's Talent Assessment and Coaching Unit. And she has over 2,500 coaching hours. And also she has extensive experience as a coach mentor as well. In her 15 years of coaching experience, she had an opportunity to coach across various industries, leadership levels, and cultures. She holds a master's degree in occupational and organizational psychology. She is also, of course, as I mentioned, a member of the International Coaching Federation and also the British Psychological Society. She is a qualified member of assessment tools, both level A ability and level B personality, as well as she holds a number of coaching diplomas. Dorota has also published in the peer-reviewed journal on brief cognitive behavioral coaching for procrastination. Dorota is currently preparing for her application to be a master certified. Everyone, please let us welcome Dorota to the session. Welcome.
Thank you, Riyun, for this really lovely introduction. And assalamu alaikum, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I owe you apologies. The amount of time I'm using Zoom and never fail on me. For some strange reason, it happened today. It may be a connection issue because for some strange reason, I was not even able to send an email. However, I will send the presentation to the team later and they can share with you. So you're gonna have actual PowerPoint too. So with that in mind, as Reem introduced me, Dorota Karas here, the only one thing that might be worth it to mention, I'm originally from Poland. And so at any point, if you feel like I'm speaking too fast, feel free to just unmute yourself, raise your hand, and I'll take the message where I can definitely slow down. Just let me know, give me some feedback here so that we know where we are. I mean, as coaches, of course, we're very used to improvising. So we're going to improvise here a little bit. There was a couple of exercises I had in mind, but most likely we're not going to do it here in this context. Nevertheless, as Reem mentioned, the aim of this workshop is really to inspire you to start or continue and accelerate your journey to your own mastery for ongoing, never-ending development. And so with that in mind, there are just a couple of grand rules that I'd like to state first. So specifically now that we don't even have a PowerPoint presentation here, presence will be the key. Of course, as we know, maintaining presence is actually one of the key coaching competencies. And so I don't know if you heard the saying, how are you being in one context, in one place? You're likely to be similar in different contexts. So this is just another opportunity to practice your presence, practice your listening without necessarily looking at the screen, as we don't have the option today. So that's one. The other things, as I mentioned before, let's keep engagement. Even as simple tools as poll or unmute yourself and speak. It would be really great to hear your voices. Yes, there will be some part that I will be presenting and talking. However, I really would love to hear your views and help you to connect to your own motivations and where you are on your journey. So with that in mind, let me just brief you on what we can expect today. And so my aim is that by the end of the session today, you will be able to connect to your own motivation for ongoing development. And in order to be on that journey to mastery and move through that levels or skills mastery, you will need the motivation to fuel you, to give you energy to keep going. Because as much as 1 year or maybe very exciting, it really does take ongoing, conscious, deliberate practice. The second point for today, I will introduce you to a very simple model that will help you to identify your own gaps in your own development as a coach, as well as it's a model that you can apply to coachees when you're coaching and helping them to identify areas where they need to develop. We also will brainstorm some strategies for each of the potential bottlenecks on your development and how to overcome that. And my goal for today was really to at least get you started, so each of you will have a development plan, or at least initial development plan as a coach. Because when we're talking about developing and transforming with our coachees, it's equally important for us to walk the talk. And finally, thanks to actually my mentor coach, we will be able to listen in to a real masterful coaching session. And so we're going to have just a 20-minute slot of typical mastery level session. And this is actually done by my mentor coach, Fran Fisher. I was hoping to share one of my sessions. However, when I checked with the clients, they were not really that comfortable. The sessions were deep. And unfortunately, I have to honor they wish in terms of not sharing it with wider audience. However, this is a real opportunity, because you will see that to be able to know what great coaching look like, it's a privilege that is actually quite rare. Even if you have a chance to observe, the dynamic might be actually quite different. And so that's one of the things we have planned for today. So with that in mind, any questions so far, or shall we go further? Of course, I don't see your faces or hear you, but you can give me thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you feel like doing. So as we just getting started, we titled the session The Journey to Mastery. So first of all, what does mastery really mean? And I'd love one or a couple of you hear your voices and just really see if you can bring your own definition. What does mastery, not necessarily mastering coaching, but generally mastery, what does it mean? And feel free to use chat or raise your hand or just unmute yourself and speak. Anyone would like to share your own definition of mastery?
I could do that. I'll just try.
Thank you for volunteering, Ibrahim. I appreciate it.
Well, my definition of mastery is to be able to connect with with your clients and with all people around you and to empower them and to motivate them to do or to achieve whatever they want to achieve in their life. And for us as coaches, mastery means that we can or be able to conduct decisions to our clients and help them achieve whatever they want to achieve in their life.
Wow, that's a powerful definition. There was empowerment I heard, there's achievement of the goals, there was a number of coaching principles there. And thank you very much, Ibrahim, for sharing. Hugely appreciate. Anyone else would like to share? Just to see whether our definition is very similar or actually very, very different. One more person, just for the comparison. A brave volunteer.
There are actually a couple of them in the chat. And a team, I think the name.
I will read. So Timo shared. Hi, Timo. Timo shared. He says it means to become very proficient with your coaching skills, and also Farah shared. Coach Farah said, I think when it becomes effortless, not that you do not work hard, but that it comes more natural.
Wow, those are really all amazing definition, and notice that everyone will have slightly different spin on what does master mean. And that's exactly the point, because everyone is in different place in their life, in their coaching journey. And it doesn't mean that you have to collect 2,500 or more coaching hours to be on that journey. That journey continues from beginning to the end. And every step of the way, you step closer to that mastery. And even when you reach the MCC, I believe that that's still not necessarily a master as yet. You keep going. However, of course, we all have one common thing beyond coaching, and that's ICF. And so ICF has a perspective on what mastery means. And so for those of you who are maybe new to ICF or to coaching, ICF have 3 levels of skills. First one is ACC, and this is really associate a certified coach. And associate certified coach is the first level of mastery. And everyone who's been the journey will tell you that even just at that first step, there are things that you will master. And every time you move to the next level, you just will master different things. And so at ACC level, you master asking questions rather than telling. And that is huge by itself. You also become pretty good at problem solving, which is useful skill. Later on, at later stages, you will have to learn some of those skills and learn something slightly different. So that's the first level, ACC. The second level, PCC, so this is where I'm currently on. It's a professional certified coach. And PCC, or professional certified coach, is no longer about problem solving. Yes, problem gets solved when you work with clients, but the focus of the coach is not so much anymore about solving the problem, but more about the person, who the person in front of you really is. What are their values? What are their beliefs related to coaching? How they think, how they feel. The session becomes a lot deeper. And then once you master this level of skills, and all of a sudden it's not about problem solving, and you focus now about the client and who the client is. The final level from ICF is MCC, Master Certified Coach. And Master Certified Coaching in this case is a lot more about who are you being as a coach. It's not just problem solving and who the client is being, but you are one of the greatest coaching tool. And for me, very recently, I've been on the quite intense journey towards MCC. So I've finally submitted my application to MCC, currently waiting for the results. And I can tell you that there was tons of lessons that will continue even once I'm credentialed as MCC. And so from that perspective, of course, ICF have the way of looking at it. And I can promise you from my own experience that every time you move to the next level, you will reach new level of mastery. And that's just part of the process. The skills may be slightly different that you're mastering, however, it's still called mastery. So with that in mind, I would love to maybe by raise of hand, or let's see what reactions we have here. Maybe by show me thumbs up if you are already ACC level coach credentialized, so that we just know how many of you are already ACC. You can either say yes in the chat or show thumbs up, or maybe even raise hand. So we have you here. Yes, we have Timo, who is already ACC of Para. Who else do we have? You have Saud. Excellent. So far I'm seeing at least 3, 4, minimum of 4 out of the 15 that we have here already ACC. So I would like to really congratulate you on where you are already, because you already reached some level of mastery. Do we have any PCCs? And please also, feel free to either type in the chat or raise your hand. Yes, we have, of course, Salman here, our PCC. Excellent work. So I believe, oh yes, we have actually Rima as well. So including myself, we have at least 3 PCCs. Wow, that's a nice balance of credentials as well. And once again, for those of you who've reached this level, you know how much hard work it takes. And so again, if you were to compare ACC and PCC, there is that difference in terms of mastery. And anyone maybe preparing for ACC, not yet ACC, but just preparing.
I'm sorry, Dorota, to cut in just for a moment here. I did receive your slides. Would you like me to share them?
Yes, excellent. Please, appreciate it. So yes, feel free to share, and I'll guide you. I really cannot understand my computer today. It's very much decided to play some joke on me, but we can manage, otherwise we cannot improvise. So and lucky, at least the slides came in with quite a bit of delay.
They have arrived. Okay. If you want to continue while I set everything up and share.
As you are aware, even on the journey to MCC, one of the things I've learned that being vulnerable is actually one of the really great tool in coaching. And you will know by having many hundreds, thousands sessions that it's not possible to be always right and perfect. And so in those times when you don't have something fails on you, it's really great to be able to so I can see the notes. So yeah, thank you. That's excellent. If you can scroll a little bit further to maybe a slide 5 would be great, actually.
Is it this one here?
Yes, so we just did the poll, and yes, that would be great. So let's me just share with you a couple of lessons that I personally learned on my journey to mastery. That's, of course, it's not ending anytime soon, but I'm hoping that by sharing that, it can actually save you some learnings. And so for me, every time I moved to sort of new level, I found that there was a great opportunity to challenge myself, to learn, and to really hold myself accountable. So yes, for sure, going through the certification gives you credential, gives you confidence, but in addition to that, it definitely gives you accountability. And of course, ICF is there to support us all, to ensure that the standard of coaching that we bring into the world meets certain quality. And we're very grateful to ICF for it. So at the beginning of my journey, I must admit that I was in this really amazing, blissful state of confidence, and just not knowing what I don't know. It's just, I was truly at awe that the simple methodology of just asking a few questions, listening a little bit, can be so powerful. It was just incredible discovery to me. At the same time, I realized that I was actually lacking insight and awareness into myself. And that was very clearly visible when I actually had a session. I remember wondering, what could I have improved? What could I have done differently? And it was really challenging for me to identify, what can I do better? I thought, yes, I did the questions, I did the listening, I did the grow model, but what else is there? And very much when you're starting in a journey, when you don't know what you don't know, that's where you are at. At the same time, for me, I was really lucky to be surrounded by people who had tremendous amount of experience in psychological intervention, as I was doing my degree at the same time. And so they started to work as sort of like my mentors, and we had tons of discussion, questions, case studies. Was also, I didn't quite realize that psychology obviously have that consulting element, and before I noticed, I was very much moving into that consulting space and away from coaching. And so, yes, there was a lot of great psychological insight, but as we all know, it's so easy to catch yourself in that mode. And for me, it took me actually a number of years to bring myself back to that purist, to that way of coaching, not really consulting and giving advice. As we know, we all have ego, and our ego is very much at play when we're giving advice and we see clients are happy, and it's just not a coaching at that stage. Meanwhile, I was coaching one way when working myself through it's moving away from that consulting mode. I was collecting hundreds of hours. In fact, I had probably over 1,000 hours of coaching. And so it seemed to me completely natural that it's time to apply for PCC since I have enough hours. What I didn't know, however, was that PCC preparation require a lot more than just 500 hours of coaching. In my case, maybe 1,500. I learned that it was really a lot more about moving away from that problem solving. And I noticed that I've developed many bad habits. And one of the key learning there was that unlearning something takes actually a lot more time and effort than it would take you to learn things in the first place. And so I remember at the time, one of my mentor coaches pointed out quite few of the bad habits to me. One of them was a frequent which to me initially felt like, hey, I'm listening, I got you. The fact was, for the client, was just continue talking, or even some clients receive this as quite an annoying interruption. And so something that I had great intention towards actually had a little bit of adverse impact. Also, after receiving pretty rough feedback at the time, I remember my confidence just completely rock bottom. I really was questioning so many things I was doing as a coach. I was really thinking, will I ever reach this level? At the same time, I was very committed and really believed that by doing that, I will serve my clients better. And so some of the habits that I set myself to overcome was around the length of the session. So my session, for some reason, at the time, seemed to be pretty long, on average an hour and a half per session. And I was really wondering, how can I reduce it without impacting the results in breakthrough? At the time of PCC, or even from beginning, I certainly noticed results. There were great breakthrough, but my driving force was, can I do this faster, better, more efficient? And funnily enough, after another few years of practice and experimenting with different things, I discovered that for me was actually a lack of skill of establishing coaching increment. I was just jumping into coaching and then moving from one topic to another. And as a result of that, yes, we would have some fantastic results. However, the session was not really that focused. As a result, since I identified that as an area of development, I was able to overcome and had some even amazing breakthrough complete session in 15 to 20 minutes. So I really noticed there was a big difference there. And now, more recently, as I was preparing for MCC, I really realized that this is now about a lot about me and who am I becoming as a person. So it was just not enough to focus on clients and who the client is and all that. That's just part of the normal process. But it took some tough self-reflection. I don't know how many of you have heard of this exercise called projection, where you reflect on whatever happening in the session or even in real life, and whatever you find that is annoying you, upsets you, or frustrates you, this is really something that is in you rather than in client. And it does take a lot of courage to do that. However, you will see, if you actually engage in those kind of exercises, that not only your self-awareness will grow, but your own management of your self-emotions, of your emotions. Therefore, in a time when something will happen in front of the session, you will be able to regulate and challenge yourself and notice what is actually going on. Of course, you become naturally a better listener. You're able to give people time to really speak and hear not just words, but beyond words. Hear what the emotion may say. And at the same time, become a true partner to your client, rather than interpret things for them. And you learn how to help them to become self-aware. For me, was also about developing a different level of empathy. It's not just a mechanical, I see, I'm sorry, but really truly feeling it and being there with clients. In addition to that, one of the things I've learned was that actually I had that interesting negativity bias. And what do I mean by negativity bias is it was very, very easy for me to focus on areas of development, on gaps. But really, I really noticed something really amazing about clients. And as experimentation in coaching as well outside of coaching, I was really paying attention to what's unique and what's special, what's unique quality I might notice about people around me. And that's allowed me to acknowledge clients with full authenticity. That's actually really had an incredible impact. I mentioned a little bit about being vulnerable already, so I'm not gonna repeat that. But as you can see here, this was some of my personal key lessons on my journey to mastery. I'm very curious if any of you on your own journey identify with any of those, or something new, something similar. And I'd love to either see people in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and speak as well. We have a question here. What do we need to do to tell our clients that we hear him, especially if we're on a voice or telecom? That's an interesting question. I would say if you're on a phone occasionally, there may be a time when you might say, I hear you, or whatever. However, this is only when you give enough space to the clients. So if I was you, I would always count in my head at least till 3, so that you know that the client is still not maybe the client is just a thinker. I will tell you a funny story, which was it happened actually fairly recently. I was actually coaching a friend of mine in preparation for MCC, and she's a great friend of mine. We have a great rapport. We really get each other at a very, very deep level. And I think this was one of our first session, maybe first or second. And somewhere there, I asked her some question to which she said, I don't know. Of course, my perspective is, even if the client says, I don't know, doesn't necessarily mean that they truly don't know. In some cases, yes, but I would give people usually a chance to speak up first. What ended up happening that she truly meant she doesn't know. And I interpreted this as she's just thinking. So we were there on Zoom, literally staring at each other for 5 minutes. She was waiting for me to ask another question or say something. And I was waiting for her, still thinking, hey, she's thinking. So it was actually quite a funny scenario, to be honest. And it only happened to be once in my coaching career, funnily enough, with my best friend. However, I must say that this really opened up something deeper in the relationship. I realized that, first of all, I didn't contract it around that. I expected the person to speak. But when we actually explored this, what just happened in that 5-minute space, there was tons of learning, tons of really incredible. So even in a situation like that, where you have 5 minutes of, in this case, miscommunication, that miscommunication was actually really useful and led to incredible breakthrough for her. I don't know if that's answered your question, Ibrahim.
Yes, and still I have, because I always get into this dilemma of how could I connect with my client when, so when I'm talking to him or when I'm listening to him, how could I connect with him or with her, even when on a video, while she or he is talking? How would I, let him know that I'm listening, I'm hearing you, I'm understanding, I'm digesting whatever you are saying. So how could I take this emotional state of me to my client?
This is a really fantastic question. And the other way you can help people to feel that you really hearing them is how are you reflecting back. So especially if the clients share a lot of stories, of course you don't want to repeat the story because then they will feel it's just a parroting. However, if you focus your reflection on some of the emotions that you notice, some of the key language they use, or even summarize the whole story in literally one sentence, they will know that you heard them, you listened. That is probably one of the key tools, and really being responsive. Because sometimes in coaching, what we often do is, we want to have the most amazing, powerful questions. So while the client's speaking, sometimes we may be thinking, okay, this could be my next question. But when you do that, when you're thinking this could be my next question, or when they're going to stop talking, or when finally, or how can I get them to feel that I'm hearing them, you're not really listening at that stage. And so that all of those are indicators. And I would say the best thing is just to pause. And as soon as you heard whatever the person said, you don't have to answer immediately. It is okay to give yourself a couple of seconds to formulate the next question. But when you formulate the next question based on what you just heard, the person will feel it. Great. Thank you for your Ibrahim. Can we move to the next slide? I've shared this story with all sorts of mistakes and learning from my side, in the hope that it will help you to identify some of the areas of mistake early on, rather than wasting a lot of time doing something or developing bad habit and then taking so much time that it takes to actually unlearn it. So let's go into a brief exercise in terms of what really got you in coaching. What is your motivation for ongoing development? Of course, we know the obvious for clients, but I really would love to hear it from you. And first of all, let me check if we could actually use the breakout room. If not, then let's hear at least a couple of you sharing what is your motivation for development.
We can use the breakout rooms for sure.
Okay, great. So in that case, if we could set up maybe 3 people in a room, and all I'd like you to share when you're already in the room is just how did you get into coaching? What inspired you? What keeps you going? What keeps you coming to this webinar at 8:30 at night when most people are already preparing to sleep? Obviously, that shows a huge motivation. And so by sharing that, we hope to access some of that.
Okay, I will be just setting it up here for a few minutes. So if you want to carry on until I do.
Meanwhile, if anyone would like to start to share their own story, what got you into coaching, just speaking out. When we break out into a room, you can continue there, but so that we actually save the time. Anyone except would like to share your own motivation? Reem, yes, please.
Yes, thank you. So coaching is it's like a two-way growth. I'm passionate about people. I love serving people, and I'm like inquisitive to know more about them, how they are motivated, and how to help them grow. But I noticed that at the same time of coaching clients and coaching people, I'm learning as well. I am growing. I'm, improving as a human being. And this posed a more spark. So there was a spark, but the spark is bigger. So it's a two-way growth, helping others and helping myself. So this is the for me.
So I'm hearing number of values for you there, Reem. Thank you for sharing. Is that growth, there's that curiosity, but also helping. Hugely appreciated. And you will see when you uncover your own motivation for learning and growth, it's most likely is going to somehow link to your life purpose. For me, what keeps me going is really ability to witness and have the privilege to witness and see how people progress, learn, and grow. And yes, the credentials are all nice. However, I would say nothing is as rewarding for me when I see the clients having breakthrough and making new discoveries. And for me, coaching is just one way of doing that. But if I'm able to use whatever coaching tool there is to help the clients grow, for me, that's a success.
So everybody is set up. I haven't opened the breakout rooms yet. So I don't know, would you like to explain the exercise and
yes.
Then open them?
So just when you're in a breakout room, just rotate 2 minutes each, or maybe just one person. So we're gonna take maybe just 5 minutes maximum before we will bring you back to share what got you into coaching, what inspired you, what got you started, and what keeps you going. And the other person or observer, listen in for what is it about that person? Is it a specific value? What is it the core of really got them into coaching? So be really a listening, be a coach in that moment. So 5 minutes start now, and we will bring you back.
So just for the exercise is clear, there are 3 people in each room. 2 of them only out of the 3 will be talking about what got them into coaching, what keeps them going, and a 3rd person will absorb.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any questions before we go into the breakout rooms? All right, so we'll see you in 5 minutes. Please accept the invitation to go into the breakout room.
I just heard something.
Well done. Happened. Well done, Farah. Thank you so much for all your support.
Yeah, sure. No worries.
Beautiful session, Dorota. Even you started without the presentation. It's amazing.
I really cannot apologize enough, because this is not something that's ever happened to me in the past.
It's these things happen all the time. It's really okay.
Too big, maybe because it has animations or something, because it took a while to reach Farah. So I think it's too large, maybe for
It's our internet here as well. That's why I actually stay off camera, because our internet is so weak here. Once you have a lot of people on, I would get thrown off.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe we should pause this.
You can find. Yes, thank you for sharing, Farah. Now that we're all back here in the main room, I wonder if anyone would like to share anything from that sharing experience in the main room, or feel free to post a question or post.
Yes, hello. Actually, we can, if This is Abdul Sattar. Yes, together I was with Abdullah and Waleed. Actually, it was a very interesting insight to me what Abdullah summarized. Basically, it all started with him. It's just like, you know, when you say it starts with me, and then I discover something in life. So that's what actually happened to Abdullah. He said, I started the journey by self-development. I wanted to develop myself, actually. I wanted to change myself. And then I started to realize, and I heard about coaching, that, you know, coaching is about connecting with people. It's about that you can convince people that they can change. And that was the main motivation behind it. So I learned not to judge people. I learned to see people in different perspectives in their own shoes. It taught me how to connect with people and build relationships and give them their own space. So to summarize, the beauty I liked about it is that it started with him and then it explored outside his circle and how to help people improve in their lives. So it was a very touchy and nice emotional story, if I may say.
Yeah. Yes. So thank you, Abdul Sattar, for sharing that. And I hope all of you had experiences. But when we actually talk about, you know, what really got us into it, most of us would like lighten up with energy because we're really connecting to our deep values here. And there's a value behind this in for yourself to do that kind of reflection if you haven't had chance to do it here, but also with clients. And of course, with clients, it's not going to be what got you into coaching, but it could be, you know, what makes you bring that topic, or what makes you what got you in that professional, or whatever topic you're discussing. Really getting into this underlying motivation is one of the things that you will make the coaching so much deeper. And so for those of you who are preparing for PCC, that may be one of the key transition to make, just going below the surface. Anyone else would like to share before we move on, or shall we move on?
Hi, Dorota, if am I all right? Just thing or two. Dorota, I thought that was a really interesting exercise. Hi, everybody. This is Tony Arden. You know, I think it was a really interesting question to address. You know, what got us into coaching. I think it's as equally interesting to think about what makes us stay in coaching, because I think a lot of people can fall into it. Maybe it's just a role they're given or whatever it is. So I think a lot of people might come into it just by chance. It's then, I think, what is it that's so wonderful about coaching that keeps us in it? And you know, I was in the chat with Timo and Ibrahim, and clearly they are trapped in it now because they clearly see the value and benefits of it.
Wow, great to see you, Tony. First of all, thank you for sharing. Yes, it's certainly there's two parts to it: what got you into it, but also what keeps you going. Thank you. All right, I'm just conscious of time, so let's maybe move on. Could we move to the next slide? Great, thank you so much, Rinda. So couple of things for you here. I promise at the beginning that you will have at least beginning or initial scratch of your development plan as a coach. So from what we have just shared, from what you shared, me sharing in terms of my own story and experiences, what may be your number one development opportunity as a coach? And this could be something very specific, like a specific competency, or it could be a sort of, more generic. Let's say stop the consulting mode of coaching, or stop, as I said, or this, or maybe do more of underlying motivation. Those could be some of the examples. And of course, if you don't know yet what may be the things that got you in the coaching, or so what you might want to develop, that may be a biggest area of development, self-awareness, and figuring out how are you going to identify areas where you can keep going. And also based on the exercise we just did, when you see in the second column here, what's your why? What makes you continue develop? What will make you to invest time and energy? And I'd like you to just take literally 1 minute, 60 seconds or so to note down to yourself. Just focus on the first two at this stage. What may be one of the area, and what is it that's going to keep you going? We're going to come back to the rest a little bit later. I hope everyone will have something written, even if it's just one word in each column. I'll give you maybe 20 seconds more. And of course, in this context here, we might not have enough time to go very deeply into this. But I would really highly encourage you to spend some time on reflecting, on thinking what may be that motivation, what may be that one area that you can focus on.
We have a question in the chat about an example of an opportunity. What would be an example of an opportunity?
So an example of opportunity could be even self-awareness as a coach. I remember I shared at the beginning, very, very early in my journey, I could not figure out what can I do better. I simply didn't know. It's just because, yes, I knew the role model, I knew about question and listening, but that was it. And I thought I was doing it pretty well. If you ask me now what I could do better, and I just submitted my MCC application, I can tell you a number of things. So self-awareness as a coach could be one. Another one, you could pick one of the competency or one of the behavior marker from the ICF competencies that really speaks to you. Really, you feel it's important to focus on. And that could be a starting point. And it doesn't have to take you years. It could be a week. If you find yourself after 1 week focusing on it, you've mastered it, you really move on, you can pick something else. For me, when I was preparing for MCC, pretty much every week, I had just slightly different aspect, different focus. Can we move on to the next slide? I would also like to introduce you to this model here that could help you to identify those area of development, the opportunity of development. And I call it opportunity, or the gap, or development area, or a goal, or a challenge, coaching challenge. It doesn't matter what you call it, it's still the same thing. So this is a model by Peterson, and it's essentially looking at 5 different things, 5 different conditions that needs to be met for development to be accelerated. So they're not linear, so you could sort of step in and step out. It could be just one of them for you, or could be all 5. So for some people, it's all about insights. So first of all, do you know what to develop? If the question is no, then most likely developing insight or self-awareness through maybe mentoring, getting feedback is just very, very first step. You're probably not going to be able to look at any other areas until you've got something. And mentoring is probably one of the best way of figuring out what to develop. The second one is around motivation. So are you really willing to invest energy and time? What will motivate you to keep going? What will you gain if you develop whatever you decided to develop? So like for me, when I was focusing on establishing coaching agreement competence, I realized that my session got more focused, got shorter. I was saving time for myself. I was still getting great breakthroughs. And so it really helped me. So that was some of the motivation for myself behind that specific area of development. What's yours? And as you we're going through this presentation, really keep on asking yourself those questions. What do I want to develop? What motivates me to develop this? The third one is capability. So the skills and knowledge, and that's maybe a combination of both. So some of it can be developed through reading or listening, or other coaches, or even listening to demo sessions. But some of it just going to require practice and feedback and practice, and until you change the habits. And that's where we're coming to the fourth area, the real world practice. But when you see here the real world practice, it really means conscious, deliberate practice. Because as I mentioned to you earlier on, at some points when I was preparing for PCC level, I had plenty of coaching hours. I probably had over 2,000 coaching hours right behind my belt, if I was to really calculate all of them. Some of them were recording, some of them not. However, much of that practice was not deliberate practice. It was just, if you imagine a footballer would just kick the ball without getting any feedback, without actually improving. So deliberate practice is different. And so even if you're not in a coaching role, if you're just preparing for ACC, identifying opportunities where you can practice. And it may not be the whole session. It may be just one aspect of the session, and maybe with someone over dinner, maybe with a friend, just taking a slightly different stance than you usually used to, or even offering to people so that you actually get feedback. The other great resource that maybe some of you are aware of, ICF have. There's something called a peer coaching, reciprocal coaching. So you basically go on ICF website and you can sign up for 6 sessions when you matched with another coach. And that other coach is matched with you. So therefore you have opportunity to practice and get feedback, real-time feedback. It's a really great service. I've personally used it frequently. And the final one is accountability. So by accountability, we mean really when you're going to do something, how often you're going to do something, how will you know you've completed it? What are the consequences if you don't? And the same model applies to your own development as a coach, as well as to your clients. So even when the people coming to you, first with whatever challenge, sometimes in the past, I remember I was showing them this model and saying, where are you? Because sometimes, especially working for Aramco, many people didn't know what they want to develop, or for example, we identified the overall goal, but they didn't know what the stumbling block was. So obviously, as a coach, you don't want to tell them what it is, but by showing them a model like this, they're able to identify, oh, wow, maybe I'm missing practice, or are missing motivation. And by doing that, you actually empower them, you're partnering with them to help themselves. And equally, the same things applies to coaching. I would love to hear maybe any of your if this model makes sense to you, if it rings a bell.
Yeah, I have a question, if I may.
Please.
Yeah, when we talk about the insight, what we want, what we need to develop, and we go to the capacity or capability, isn't sometimes we need to improve our skills, right?
Well, yeah.
So the insight will be the same as the skills that we need to improve. So how do we tie this one together?
Oh, this is a really a great question. So what I'm hearing, if the insight is a skill, is the awareness is a specific skill. Usually, when you have a specific skills, there's number of behaviors that you can do that you would need to adjust. So the insight level is, okay, yes, I need to develop this specific skill.
For example, reflection.
Yeah, this is great example. So self-reflection, and that so all you put in an insight categories, that's what I want to develop, self-reflection. The capability now might involve looking into the research or books on reflection. What are the model for reflections? What questions can you ask yourself? It may also involve practicing certain reflective practices. So, for example, might involve supervision. During supervision, you will become naturally more reflective. Or it might involve journaling. So basically, it's just different levels of breaking this down. You know, you can say insight is very high level, whereas capabilities is you sort of going deeper and identify specific behaviors that can help you to develop that. Does that help?
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay,
Doritos, hello?
Yes.
Yes, actually, I don't know, it's a question and a comment. As we define the insight in marketing, it's actually the aha moment, which is basically, I didn't know that. Wouldn't the insight come gradually over time? Because the more you coach, the more you sit with people, the more you would know yourself that actually this is what I need to develop myself in. It's something that I didn't know. It's more of an aha moment. It's something that, comes by time or by experience. I don't know if you would agree to that or not.
Absolutely.
But it's just like sitting with thousands of focus groups, and then you would understand that this is the insight that came from X and Y.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. Some insights comes in a moment and you're there. Some insights takes a while to get there. Some insights needs to be provoked from outside by mentoring or feedback. So there's different way of getting to it, and we're actually going to explore some strategies in a moment for each of those. Let's move on to the next slide, if we could. Thank you. We just have this model as a sort of basis for identify where we are at any given point, and it really, for me, it really helped to see that. So I mentioned at the beginning that I will give you an opportunity to listen to real life master for coaching session. We're not going to have time to do that. However, I will be actually sending you the recording with permission of Frank Fisher. she already agreed to share this recording. So we will figure out how to actually get it to you, so you will be able to listen in your own time, and also compare notes. You know, what are you noticing that is different in that masterful session compared to your own coaching? So we'll skip that for today, but you will have an opportunity to do that afterwards. And if you ever wanted to learn more, feel free to get in touch with Fran Fisher. I mean, of course, she was really one of the most favorite, best mentor I ever had. So that's just my experience. But she's also very willing to share resources like the example that I will share with you here. We talked a little bit about the strategies of actually how to develop. And so we have a kind of potential list of strategies here. You know, many people, when they come to development, they think first of training or reading. And that's certainly is part of that, and it's a really important part. But there's a lot of other ways. I wonder if any one of you would like to share which of those have you tried and how did it work? Or maybe you have any questions around any of those. I mean, we talked briefly about reflective journaling. So this is really, maybe after your coaching session, you really sit down with you know, pen and paper, or you pad or whatever, and just note a few things. What do you notice coming up for you emotionally and physically, and things like that.
Just a gentle reminder, we are in the last 5 minutes. So if you know, just we can, if there is like a takeaway message or something to, you know, to kind of, or a question that, you know, people would like to just focus on towards the end of the session.
Mm-hmm. With that in mind, I guess, first of all, if someone have any brief questions, feel free to either post it in the chat. We might not have a chance to answer here. I will do my best in short time that we have. Otherwise, feel free to actually, you know, get in touch with me if you do have any questions. My email address, I mean, the team can share my email address. Probably the easiest one for you to remember would be Dorota Karas, just like my name, @icloud.com, and I will ask the team to share it later. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out. Other than that, if you have any final comments, feel free to share. We do have just 3 minutes left, and I also want to thank the team for arranging this session, for you know, making this learning opportunity available for us here. And if you have any final comments, feel free to make too.
Just a quick comment from me, Dorota. Thank you for doing this. It's been really enjoyable. In terms of the strategies, I think one of the challenging ones for me was the recording and listening to own sessions. That's probably one of the most insightful but painful things to do.
Yes, I can totally relate. I must say that just this year, I probably recorded over 30 sessions of my own, and maybe at least half of them I've actually listened to. So yes, but it becomes easier with time. You know, you notice your own patterns, and it does become easier. So it's worth doing. But I agree, that's probably one of the best way of developing yourself. Thank you, Tony. Any final comments from anyone, or if not, then I would like to thank the team again for this great opportunity. And yes, I'd like to hand over the space to you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dorota, for an excellent, insightful session. Although we had hiccups, at the beginning, but it's like I'm still waiting to hear more. If it's like 2 more hours, I would have enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And hopefully we will welcome you again, inshallah, in the near future. And it's an honor always. Thank you all for attending. Tony, it's wonderful to see you today. We miss you so much. And Timo and everybody else, thank you so much for joining us today. And we'll share with you our next session next month, inshallah, and we hope to see you all. We'll also be sharing the presentation, Dorota, with everybody. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely happy to do that. And at the same time, as I mentioned, I will be sharing, thanks to Fran Fisher, the actual example of masterful coaching session.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening and sleep well.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for Saudi chapter for these great events.
Shukran.
Good
Shukran,
night.
Abu
Thank
Khalil.
you.
Khalil.
You're most welcome, and thank you for attending, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Dorota. It was such an insightful session. Thank you for everything.
Thank you. I'm happy to stay if just in case of the team or anyone has any question.
Now, it would be great if I can get a free coaching session from you.
That's a good try. I guess you know, one of the interesting things about coaching is we don't want to offer too many free ones because that undermines the professional. However, if you reach out to me, I typically take the calls with the coaching stance on. So it's maybe not a full session per se, but my goal is always to help
I'm just giving this as a a joke, and then I would like to say thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Baba.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Sabah. Lovely seeing you here.
Same here. Very interesting. Very interesting one.
Sabah, thank you.
Thank you, Sabah.
Miss you, Dora. I used to
yeah.
see you a lot in Toastmaster.
Oh, yes, so you were the okay. Now, yes, I was. It occurred to me that that must be you, and I connect the face.
Good to see you again.
Great to see you, Sabah.
Thanks. Good night.
Good night. All right, I think it's just the team now, or maybe we have Sabrina. I don't know if
Sabrina.
With that in mind, I just would like to thank you for arranging and bearing with my technical issues. I can't even have any. How did you feel it went? And I mean, given the technical side, I'd love to be able to change the time and fix it, but in the moment, of course, I don't think I could have done